Cut. Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Shri Ram. So today I'm going to talk about the Vastu Purusha Mandala and various other ancient architecture sciences. So the Vastu Purusha Mandala and the characteristics of a beautiful piece of land and kinds of pillars, etc. and Dwara Vedhas and things that you can check around your house and rectify if there are any problems. And I'm going to talk about this today. And also about trees that you can plant in your house and a small garden plant. So that's what we're going to see today. It is about Vastu. So before you see this video, you can watch other videos that I have made on energy level plots, etc. That will give you a better understanding of what I'm going to talk today. So first let's see the 81 squares and the 64 squares Vastu Purusha Mandala. So today we're going to focus only on the 81 square Vastu Purusha Mandala. So this is a very important Vastu Purusha Mandala. It's generally used for homes, etc. So what's a Vastu Purusha Mandala? You draw 9 lines across and 9 lines this way, and then you make 9 lines from east to west, 9 lines, and 9 lines from south to north. And while you're doing this kind of a thing, you get a total figure of 81 squares. So then you border it, and then you get this image and you place the Devatas inside it. So there are 45 Devatas in the Vastu Purusha Mandala, 30 in the inner compartments and 32 in the outer compartments. So these Devatas are very important and their different characteristics are very important before you study where and what must be placed in which part of your house and vulnerable points to the parts of your house. So let us see some details about the whole Vastu Purusha Mandala. So this is according to Brihat Samhita, an ancient encyclopedic book by sage Varahamihira, who wrote so much about various topics, not only astrology and astronomy, but including architecture, perfumes, carpentry and so much more. He wrote about so many different kinds of things, measurements and astronomy, etc. So today we are going to see a Vastu Purusha Mandala based on Brihat Samhita. There are various Vastu Purusha Mandalas, the 81 square, the 100 square, the 64 square. The 81 square Vastu Purusha Mandala is known as Paramasayika Mandala. And today we are going to see this 81 square Mandala. But in some other videos in the future, I will make a video on the 64 square Vastu Purusha Mandala. But now let's see this one. So you first have to draw 9 lines across, this way and this way, horizontally and vertically, and then you have to place the Devatas inside them. So you first name north here, east here, south here and west here, and you say Uditi, that's the name of north, and Prati, that's the name of the east, Dakshina, that's the name of the south, and the west is known as Pratiti. The northwest, southwest, etc. are different kinds of energy places, and generally it is known that the northeast is a birth of energy and the southwest is a drainage of energy. So today we are going to see the different Devatas placed in this beautiful mandala. So Roga is deity present, so let's start with the northeast side. Agni is a deity present in the northeast side. Parjanya is the next deity. Jayanta is the next deity. Indra is the next deity. Surya is the next deity. You can see here that some deities have lordship over 1 square and some other deities have lordship over 2 squares. Some deities have lordship over 3 squares and Brahma in the center has lordship over 9 squares. So you can see Jayanta, Indra, Surya, Satya and Brisha. These 5 devatas all have lordship over 5 different 10 squares totally. So 5 into 2 equals 10. So Agni actually is on the head of Vastu Purusha. So if I would tell you an interesting story about the Vastu Purusha to you, he is called the house god. And there's a story about how he came to this earth and why everybody worships Vastu Purusha. You might have a question about this, but Vastu Purusha was actually a very great, huge demon who suddenly fell from the skies topsy-turvy and fell on the ground. He was about to destroy the entire world. So the Devatas, all the Devatas of this world, the 45 of them, they just sat on top of the Vastu Purusha and forced him to sit topsy-turvy and sat on different parts of his bodies, therefore energizing him in different places. Brahma then gave him the boon that from now on, if anybody is building a house, they'll have to worship the Vastu Purusha and then build it. And if anybody does not worship the Vastu Purusha, they will be troubled a lot. That's why many people start off their worship and their construction with the Vastu Purusha and Ganesha worship. So this is how it goes. And Agni is on the head of the Vastu Purusha, because Vastu Purusha is like topsy-turvy with his head here and his hands here and his legs here. So Agni is on the Vastu Purusha's head, Parjanya on his eye, Diti on his other eye, the left eye, Apaha on his mouth, and then Jayanta on his ear, and then Indra on his shoulder, Surya, Satya and Brisha on his arm, and even Antariksha. So these are all on his arm, and Savitra and Savita are on his right hand. And as you go around, it's just like that. It's the same thing. Yama comes on the thighs, and then Kusumadanta on the then we have Sugriva on the shank, and then Asura and Shosha on the sides. So it goes on and on like this. And then we have Papa Yakshma, Roga, Ahi, Mukhya and Vallata, and all of these devatas on the right arm. And it's just like this. It goes on like this. And Soma also on the left arm, and Bhujaka on the shoulder, and Aditi, just like that, the ear of Vastu Purusha. So it's like this. It goes on like this, and each one of these devatas have lordship over some organ and a few squares of the Vastu Purusha Mandala. Brahma in the center is the most influential of all the devatas, and he actually is on the heart of Vastu Purusha. And and all these devatas are in different parts of the Vastu Purusha Mandala. So you can see that all these are on the private parts of the Vastu Purusha, these devatas, Jaya, Mriga, Pitru, Dauvarika and Indra. And then Vyaswan is on the stomach of the Vastu Purusha. So it's like this. So specific constructions have to be made on specific places of the Vastu Purusha Mandala, and that's why they learn about the Vastu Purusha Mandala before they start any other thing on Vastu. And one more thing is that the Vastu Purusha Mandala is very important, because you can see these blue color spots that I've given here. These blue color spots are vulnerable points. That means they mustn't be harmed by anything. In these also there are a few points called Shanmahanti and some called Mahamarmas. So these are all very dangerous marma points of the Vastu Purusha. According to Ayurveda, we have marma points in our body, in different parts of our body. According to Vastu, the great Vastu Purusha has marma points in his body. So these marma points are very important, and they are also very necessary. We have to study them before studying anything else. So Brihat Samhita has given the measure of a vulnerable part to be 1/8 of a square. So if a vulnerable part is coming in the middle of 4 squares, like this one here, if all the 4 squares are about 8 by 8, then this square should also be 8 in measure. 8 digits or 8 cubits or whatever it is in measure. So actually Brihat Samhita talks in cubits and digits. So cubits and digits are nothing but 1 cubit is the space from your elbow to the middle finger, and actually this is a small hand because I'm small, but big people actually their hands must be measured, and 1 digit is equal to 1 digit is 1/24th part of 1 cubit. So basically 1 cubit is 18 digits totally. So this is a measure of 1 cubit, and whenever we talk about cubits, you can you can refer to this kind of a cubit. So 1/8 of a square is the measure for a vulnerable part. So what should we do to a vulnerable part? It should be kept clean. And if possible, only gold and silver must be kept on a vulnerable point. Skulls or hair, wooden pieces, and husk and shaft, ivory, bones, pillars, etc. mustn't be kept there. In fact, pillars mustn't be installed on these places. They should be installed away from these places after the 1/8 measure. That means the pillar should be installed here. Never in these vulnerable points. That means you're hurting the Vastu Purusha where he does not like to be hurt or the vulnerable parts of his body. So please do not place such inauspicious objects, and you can keep idols there, but it's always better to keep only gold and silver idols and nothing else. No metal, no charcoal. Charcoal causes fear of thieves if you keep it there, and ivory causes misery, and bones and skulls and hair etc. cause death of the owner, and even if you keep husk and chaff, it also causes poverty, and wealth will not come to your house. However, it is because you're hurting the great Vastu Purusha. You might feel it's just some folktale nonsense, but really it's very true, because you're harming the energy levels that are harnessed in the plot that come from the northeast and drain in the southwest by harming the different points where Vastu Purusha is hurt generally. So these areas are very confidential. They mustn't be hurt in any whatever you're doing, they mustn't be hurt. So that's what. And I put some crosses and ticks here. So those are for the home, for the doors. So if you want to build any door, it should be built in the places where there are ticks. So whenever you get a ground floor plan, you're supposed to divide the ground floor plan into 81 squares. That means you should take auspicious metals like gold and silver and draw lines. Please do not use vibhuti for it or any other substance like that. Ashes, holy ashes, or even normal ashes for that, or even don't use any metal piece for that. You can use curds to draw lines, or you can use fruits or anything like that, flowers to draw lines, but it's always better to draw lines with a piece of gold or silver and curds, so that will give the proper line. So you can take lots of curd and pour it in lines together to make the divisions for the Vastu Purusha Mandala, and all these deities present here will bless you. So the next thing is that do not keep any ashes or broomsticks in these vulnerable parts, and keep them clean always, and do not do anything inauspicious there. Do only auspicious things there. Do not hurt it with fire or wooden blocks or whatever you keep it there, and keep it clean always. So that's the advice given by the sages on vulnerable points. And generally, no auspicious activity should go on in this area. You can see here, the southeast is good for kitchens because Anila, the deity of air, resides here. So air is always conducive to fire. So that's why you can have a kitchen here. Some other texts say that they just rotate this, and some of the deities are transported to different parts. So Agni sometimes comes here in other mandalas. So Agni and Andhya generally come in this particular spot, so it's good for a kitchen. And this kind of an 81 square plan can actually be used for even cities altogether, even towns altogether, and even the 64 square plan can be used for temples, towns and cities. So you can just divide the whole city into 64 or 81 or 100 parts, and then place the deities in them and build it according to the deities. So this is about the Vastu Purusha Paramasayika Mandala. And the next thing is that the characteristics of a beautiful piece of land. So if you're buying a land, you should look for many things, but I'm just giving you 4 characteristics. Since when you're looking for a land, the smell of the land, the shape of the land, and there are hundreds of different types of shapes for different people which are mentioned in the shastras. But today I would like to just give you an overview of the characteristics of a beautiful piece of land. That is, a land should always be soft, a land should be even if possible, or another option is it should be depressed in the north and the east, and it should be elevated in the south and the west, because they say that the south and the west have evil energies that are coming, bad energies, negative energies. So they must be blocked by placing a tall wall and also a high land. And the north and east have positive energies, so they should be kept with depressed land, a little depressed land. So that's very good for north and east. And also do not keep any compound wall. If you need a compound wall, just put a wire fencing around it, and that will be very good. So do not make walls too tall there. So that's the thing for land. And the land should be even. Do not have a tortoise shape for the land. That means elevated in the center and depressed in the corners. And this does not hold wealth. So it's like an overturned bowl. So you can't place anything. Anything you place will just be draining off. It should be like this. It should be like north and east should be depressed, and the south should be elevated, and the west also should be elevated. That's a very good kind of land. And sweet smell, and there should be sweet smell and sweet taste in the mud. I don't ask you to taste the mud, but I mean the common sense of sweetish mud. So then there should be beautiful herbs and beautiful flowers, and the land should be abounding in that kind of a thing. And there should be beautiful small shrubs and trees, not too huge a tree, and not too many holy trees in it. Just small shrubs and cute flowers, etc., of different auspicious colors. So that kind of a land actually gives benefits to even people who just sleep on them. Forget about people who build a permanent house on them. So that's what Varamihira says. He explains that people who just sleep on those kind of lands for a night, they will themselves get lots of prosperity. What about the people who make a permanent home on them? So imagining the prosperity of a person who has made a permanent home on that kind of a place. So before we go to the next parts which are very important, we should first understand the measurements of ancient times. So basically, Vastu Shastra actually is related to various topics, that is astrology, astronomy. So you have to see the stars and the position of the planets before building a house. You have to see every single thing like that, and you have to also see the planets and where they are. You have to see different kinds of flowers that you can use, and you have to also find so many other things before you start building the house, and that's very important. And when you're building the house, the ground plan should be very important. The first plan should be very important, the first plan. And the doors, the beams and the paths or whatever you are building should always be in accordance with Vastu Shastra. That is also a very important point. You can see the doors and the beams here. They should all be built systematically with Vastu Shastra. Even thresholds or pawns or frames of doors, the side frames, should be made according to Vastu Shastra. I shall explain this measurement of thresholds, pawns and frames in another video. But for now, let us know that all of these things are systematically planned in Vastu Shastra. So one more measurement in Vastu Shastra is very important before you go to the next parts of architecture. That is, 1 hasta or cubit is equal to 24 digits and 18 inches. So this is a very important fact. And there are some other measures called palas, etc. And I shall make another video on weight measurements. But for now, we can know that weight measurements are very important. Sorry, the camera is shaking a lot. The camera actually broke down, so my sister switched it on again. And now, hasta is actually equal to 24 digits. 1 hasta is equal to 24 angula or 24 digits. 1 hasta is equal to 24 digits, or 1 cubit is equal to 18 inches. So this is what you would say. And pala is a measure of weight, and you should remember these 2 points because we're going to talk about this in the next few videos. So pala is 64 palas are equal to 1 adhaka. That means 1 pala is 40 grams and 64 of them are equal to 2.56 kgs. And now we're going to talk about pillars according to Varamihira. Because you have learned about these measures, you can now easily know about pillars. So here are they. So actually Varamihira talks about many pillars in the 53rd chapter of Abrahad Samhita, and some of them have been given here. All of them have been given here. That is Ruchaka, Vritta, Vajraka, Diguna Vajraka and Pralinaka. So basically Ruchaka is the one which is So Ruchaka is the one which is perfectly square in the middle, leaving off the 2 other sides. And Vritta is the one which is cylindrical. You can see the cylindrical pillar here. And Vajraka is the one which has 8 sides. That means just like a diamond. So it's known as Vajraka or a diamond. And the Dviguna Vajraka has 16 sides, and that's why it's called a double diamond. And Pralinaka is the one with 32 sides. So our ancient architecture had pillars ranging from just 0 sides to 32 sides. And then we have cross sections of pillars. Can I please show this over there? So what are cross sections of pillars? You have to split the pillars into 9 parts. Just while not the splitting of the pillars. We talk about this in another video about the pillar, but you can check it now that once you make when you're making a pillar, you should know that the pillar should be divided into 9 equal parts, and the first 2 are to be filled with paintings, etc. These 2, the first 2 and the last 2, should be decorated with paintings, etc. I'm putting a circle here to know where paintings should be. And pillars should not be kept on vulnerable points or placed very close to doors, since they cause dwaravedhas, and they should not be built without respect. They should be built after lots of puja, etc. And now we have another rule here, that is the width and the circumference at the top of the pillar should be less than the width and the circumference at the bottom of the pillar. So the circumference of the top of the pillar is actually 3 times the width, as you can see. So width into 3 equals the circumference at the top, and a measurement for the king's house, a pillar for the king's house, is 1.2 cubits at the top and 1.5 cubits at the bottom, 1.5 at the bottom. So 1.5 into 3 would be 4.5, so that would be the circumference, that would be the circumference at the bottom, and 1.2 into 3 would be the circumference at the top. Now the thickness of the pillar is equal to the thickness of the bharatula, or the chief beam. So the chief beam is called bharatula, and the thickness of the pillar should be always equal to the thickness of the bharatula. And there are 3 kinds of beams. So I'm just giving you an overview of each kind of thing that is explained. So there are 3 kinds of beams: bharatula, tula and upatula. Bharatula is the chief beam, upatula is the moderate beam, and tula is the moderate beam, and upatula is the minor beam. So bharatula, if the measure of bharatula is equal to the pillar, let's take it as A. So A minus a fourth of A should be the value of tula, the thickness of tula, and upatula should have B minus a fourth of B, and that would be the thickness of upatula. So if the thickness would be 4 cubits, it's not going to be 4 cubits, but the width of the pillar, if it's 1.2 cubits at the home of the king, or just take it as 4 cubits, the thickness of the tula should be 3 cubits, and thickness of the upatula, the minor beam, should be 2 and 1/4 units, or any kind of unit. Can be centimeters, whatever it is. So now we should know about some things about doors and their position. So doors and their position, that's very important, because doors are sites of energy loss. That's very important. So why so the doors are sites of energy loss because they open out of the house and they release energy out of the house, so they're sites of energy loss. So to cultivate proper energy in a house, we're supposed to place the doors in places that are conducive to energy loss, and there's not too much there's not too much energy loss. So those places are the ones that are marked with ticks in this mandala. And the places where you must not place doors are generally places with too less energy or negative energy, which invite negative energy to the house and cause bad problems. We shall talk about those problems and benefits in another video, but for now let's say only this. And there are many types doors, so they can be actually two-sided doors, and they are very good for priests and the priestly class. And normally doors shouldn't be hurt by roads. This is very wrong. So if a main road or a part of the main road is coming and hitting the door directly, then it's wrong. If the road is coming and standing just close to the door, it's called a marga vedha. It's not very good. It's not at all good, actually. It kills the owner. It augurs the death of the owner. Vriksha vedha is another one, and this causes the trouble to children. So what happens is, it blocks, when a tree is standing right next to the door, it actually blocks the sunlight, the essential sun rays, ultraviolet energy rays, from the sun to the house, and it throws its negative shadow energy on top of the house. And this causes problems to the children of the house, according to Varahamihira's Brihat Samhita. And it's very dangerous to have a tree right in front of your house. Stambha Vedhas are another kind of Veda. They actually rely on pillars. So pillars standing right in front of the house just block energy rays from entering the house, and therefore they also cause very dangerous problems, including trouble to women and problems with women of the family. And mire, any mire or sand or a big pit of sand close to the door, it also causes dangerous problems. It causes grief to the owner and constant quarrels. Wells or idols should not be present starkingly just before the door. They also cause problems. So if you have any of these things close to your house, please remove them, or remove your door, or change the door, or block the door permanently out of the place. You can do many things to stop this problem, but idols, wells, pillars and trees or whatever they all are not at all good for your house, and they all cause big problems. But still, if the road is twice the height of the door, Dwarotraya Dvigunitam, says Varahamira, then it's not very bad. It does not have any bad effect to the owner. So if the height of the door is 2 cubits and the space from the door to the Vedha or the road or well or whatever it is 4 cubits, then these roads etc. do not cause any potential problem to the owner. So they should be sent off or separated from the door at a distance double than the height of the door. So then it's okay, it does not cause any problem. So measurement for a door is based on the plot. So dimensions of the plot are required to calculate the complex measurement of a door and the side frames of the door. So I shall make another video on how to calculate the side frames on the door. I already did some charts for that. But it is actually a complex measurement, and it should be accompanied by proper dimensions of the house. So in cubits, or it should be generally in cubits, because Varahamira has mentioned to us to use it in cubits. So energy level in your plot. So we're going to discuss about the energy level in the plot now. So I'm going to make another video about this, but this is just an overview of it. It's not the entire energy level. So the northeast is the place where energy is born, and the southwest is the place where energy is drained out. And the northeast should have the least energy, and the southwest should have the highest energy for proper energy cultivation between the two places. That means elevation and depression should be made at different spots to ensure a perfect land. So the northeast should have less energy level than the southeast, and the southeast should have less energy level than the southwest, and the northwest also should have less energy level than the southwest, and the northeast of the plot should have less energy level than the northwest. So this is how it's supposed to be. So the northeast, if it is the birth of energy, the southwest should be the drainage of energy, and the energy passing through this is actually short in a square plot. So it's easy for the energy to travel in between, and it's easy for the plot to cultivate the energy inside the house. But in the same thing, if it's a rectangular plot, then the northeast is the origination of energy, and the southwest the drainage of energy. The northeast energy has to cover a longer distance to reach the southwest, so the energy level in a rectangular plot is generally less than an energy in the square plot. But still, if the length of a house is limited to the level of twice the breadth, then it's quite okay. But if it is like thrice the breadth or 2.5 times the breadth, etc., then the energy level is very low, and it's not good to have that kind of a house. So that means if the breadth is about 1 cubit, the length should be limited to 2 cubits, not 3 or anything like that. This ensures a good energy level. Or a square. Even square plots are good for Brahmanas, etc. And Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras can have these kind of plots. In the ancient times it was like this, but in the modern times it is based on what you want to do. So if you want a house like this, you can have a house like this. This is generally prescribed by the shastras, and this kind of house is generally also prescribed for kings and etc. So longer homes are traditional. So if your family has been following the longer homes like this, rectangular homes, then please continue to do that, because that will also be very beneficial for you. And if your family has been constructing short homes or square homes like this, please continue constructing in that way, since that is beneficial for you, as it is an ancestral activity or ritual. So the next thing we shall see is about the trees that you must plant in different places and the position of your house in relation to other bodies. So what are these other bodies? They are trees or gardens or homes of other people, homes of influential people, homes of rogues and temples, and what they have, what effect they have in your on your house. So how is it? Actually, trees are very important to consider because trees have universal influences. They actually absorb influences. So it's better not to have a fruit tree close to your house, nor a milky tree. Milky tree is totally banished from being close to your house.
Yeah, what is a milky tree?
Milky tree means a tree which secretes milk. Some trees have milk coming out of their barks. So those kind of trees should be removed.
And cactus?
Yeah, cactus is a thorny tree. So any kind of thorny plant or thorny tree or whatever it is should be plucked out or cut off or just removed from that place, because these kind of trees, they cause death to the owner, trouble to children, etc., and problems to wealth of the people, etc. And the fruity tree is also bad because it kills the children of the house. So please remove such things to a far distance, or if you can't cut them and they are very old and they are providing you many fruits and you wish to keep them at home, please plant these good trees just close to them. So Punnaga is the name of one tree. It's called Calophyllum inophyllum and it's very good. It's called the Alexandrian laurel, and this kind of tree can be planted close to the fruity or milky or cactus or whatever, but cactus is generally very bad. Please get it off your house. Even if you plant these good trees close to it, I don't think it's going to be very good for your house. And then Arishta is another kind of a tree. That is the neem tree, the famous neem tree, Azadirachta indica. So this also, if you plant close to milky or fruity trees, then it's very good, fruit-giving trees. And Shami tree is a very holy tree of India. It's called Prosopis cineraria, and that should also be planted close to these trees. And Bakula is another tree. Its botanical name is Mimosops LNG, or it's called a Buddha tree. And Shala is Shoria robusta. It's a sal tree. There are many ancient stories relating to this sal tree, including competitions of who will split the bark of it with arrows, because it's a very powerful and robust tree, and that's why it's called Shoria robusta. And Bakula is called Mimosops LNG or bulletwood, and it's also a very holy tree. And Ashoka is called Saraka Asoka, and there is the Ashoka tree. It's also a very holy tree. Please plant it close to these trees. Panasa is Autocropus heterophyllum. That is also a very good tree. It's jackfruit itself, so you can plant that. So jackfruit is also a fruit-giving tree, but again, it is a holy tree, so it can be planted, and it can also nullify the effects of another fruit-giving tree. So let us then check as some other influences like a minister's house or a rogue's house or a temple, etc., and what they do to your home. Having a minister's house close to your house drains off your wealth. Having a rogue's or a gambler's house or a big politician or just a bad person's house like Vijay Mallya, Nirav Modi or whatever, a big gambler's house close to your house causes the death of the children in the house, especially the sons, elder sons. And having a temple close to your house causes mental affliction, very close to your house. And having a chasm close to your house causes thirst. Having holy trees close to your house also causes danger from planetary influences. But if you worship them, then it's good. But if you leave them unattended, then it's wrong to live there. And if you are unable to worship them, you shouldn't even be living there. And if you're having temples, you must go to the temple daily. And but if it's difficult for you, you should not live very close to a temple. That is disrespect to the deities, and it causes mental affliction. Anthills on the plot are very dangerous. They cause calamities. A crossway close to the house is also very bad. Some people think it's fortunate, but according to Varahamihira, it's bad and it's not going to give any good effect to you. There are rules for having a crossway close to the house, but do not have a crossway. That's also good. So another one is about holy trees close to your house. I talked about holy trees here, and sometimes these kind of holy trees actually give good effects to your house. So there are 4 kinds of main holy trees that have been explained in the shastras. One is Udumbara, the white fig, and one is Vata, the banyan tree, and we have Ashwatha, the peepal tree, and Plaksha, another species of the peepal tree. People call it peepal tree, but it is actually another species. So the Plaksha to the south, the Ashwatha to the east, Vata to the west, Udumbara to the north are generally considered very, very unfortunate for that plot. And Plaksha to the north, Vata to the east, Udumbara to the south, and Ashwatha to the west are very important, very good for your house. And Ashwatha, especially in the west, or the peepal tree in the west, gives lots of good effect to your house. Please do not have these trees in the wrong positions, and you can't cut the trees off. You have to go out of that site if you want to protect yourself. When I say it's not good to have these trees in these areas, it's not good to live there, but it's you can't cut the trees. That's very important to remember. So what's Vastu Shastra? To make a summary of whatever we have seen today: checking the plot, doing specific pujas, creation of a beautiful energy level in the plot, cutting the site into a mandala or dividing the site into a mandala, measuring and planning for a house, a garden plan, and rectifying problems in the house, choosing a plot and building, having a thorough knowledge of astrology and astronomy and other sciences, including knowing about different kinds of flowers and trees, botany, biology, are all equally important when it comes to studying about Vastu Shastra. So we have talked about many issues today in Vastu Shastra, and we have also seen how to build pillars, and we have seen the dimensions of pillars. So you can see my other videos on doors, etc. The dimensions of doors, and also ancient Indian measurements, etc. So thank you. Jai Shri Krishna. So I do this chart, and it's packed up with information of Vastu Shastra. So hope you found this video informative. Jai Shri Krishna.